This is me in my first year with my roommates. Don't let the smile and the flowers behind us fool you. It was not all fun and games for us. We initially wanted to live in dorms, but we simply couldn't afford it. So we spent the last summer with our families, just trying to find a place to live. And we settled for this old house behind us, and it was terrible. Our landlord was the most irresponsive person we've ever met, and to top it all off, the house was infested with mice.
This is me after 2 days of flying across the ocean from West Africa to pursue my studies in Canada. Now, don't let this young, vibrant, and energetic smile distract you from the fact that 30 minutes before taking this photo, I was bawling my eyes out in the washroom because first, I left my family. It was my first time moving away from them. And two, I had absolutely no idea where I was gonna sleep that night. My name is Jean-Brice Koa.
And my name is Kevin Punga, and we're the co-founders of Elev.
The baseline is renting sucks. Finding a place to stay off campus as a student is an impossible task. As first-time renters, of course. The struggle with finding a place to stay that is of decent quality and that is affordable to them. And on top of that, the process is slow and filled with many hurdles, adding to the already stressful situations that the students face. The average student spends over $2,300 on housing, than more than they need to because of the poor housing choices that they make. Additionally, they spend over half of the summers looking for a place to stay when they should be spending that time enjoying the summer, or like me, with their family before they move abroad. Now, we know that Kevin and I are not alone in this situation, because over 100 million students share this struggle. And every single year, that number keeps rising.
And that's why we're building Elev, with the mission of changing the way students live, starting with how they rent. Now, you might be familiar with Forstay or Student.com, or even Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace, but they all suck. And they suck because not only do they not help you with the entire living experience, mostly just with house hunting. And even with house hunting, they don't do a great job because they're what we call constraint players. Now, imagine this is a typical marketplace with lots of housing options. What Facebook Marketplace and Forstay do is they narrow down options for you. Okay? They try to constrain the results for you to help you find a place. And they do that by filters. More filters, better filters. That's what all these companies are racing to do. Who can do the better job at filtering? Now, we understand that that does not remove the underlying barrier, which is the fact that you can't humanly or objectively compare and evaluate all the houses out there to find what's best for you. That's why at Elev, we do things differently. We take the filters that the students give us, so their wants and their needs, and instead of treating them like hard limits or constraints, we treat them as reference points, a starting point from which we can look at the entire available supply and be able to find which house most strongly meets their needs and fulfills their wants. Now, our algorithm assigns a max score to a home, which allows the students to make an informed and objective decision on where to live. But we don't just stop there.
Not at all. We streamline the entire renting process by eliminating the unnecessary back and forth between the host and the students, by matching them and placing the students in front of the willing host. And there is more. We also help them through the renting experience to make sure that both the host and the students have a stress-free and smooth living experience. But I'm pretty sure you must be wondering, how much better is Elev? Well, our matching system and our success rate is 5 times better than anything else out there. We're cutting down a process that would take you 45 days to just under 1 week. And because students are finding housing faster, the homes are no longer vacant as long as they used to be, saving the host over $2,100 every year.
Now, students are a neglected customer base when it comes to renting. And that's despite the fact that they're spending, in North America alone, over $170 billion on housing-related costs. And what we're doing at Elev is taking this pool of value, this pool of money, expenditures, and flowing it through our platform, and in the process, taking a little piece of it. Now, what that looks like today is students paying the rent on our platform and us taking a percentage of that on a monthly basis. What we're wanting to do is to eventually continue adding more pieces of value to this process and to this experience, while still taking a percentage of everything that we add. What that looks like is first moving into other housing-related costs, like furniture rentals and tenant insurance, and eventually being able to address every major need that they have when it comes to living. Now, because our business model is not an upfront payment, it's a frictionless experience for our base of penny pinching and broke college students. And that is one of our unfair advantages.
But I'm pretty sure you must be wondering, how do we go about finding the students and those hosts to use on the platform? Well, our go-to-market and expansion strategy is based on partnerships. We have partnered with two of the largest property management companies that are aiming to serve the student community with over 1,000 units. Additionally, on the student side, we have partnered with 3 of the biggest student unions in the city, with giving us access to over 60,000 students. And with just an MVP, and with pretty much zero paid marketing, we have reached our first 1,500 users. We have our supply is growing by 25% month over month. And by being able to match both students and hosts at a faster rate, we're able to have more students on the platform. But you know what's the best of all? Our retail users never churn. See, users that do not churn is our third competitive advantage.
Now, with just our MVP and the pilot that we've been able to run in the last year, we want to take it to the next step. So this year, we're planning on reaching over 5,000 retained customers, which will get us our first $40,000 in recurring monthly revenue. We're going to add about 7 more schools in 7 different cities, which will bring our total students under our umbrella to about 200,000. And we're piloting a project of us being able to control the supply with the largest property management company in Canada at Boardwalk. And you're probably also asking yourselves, okay, why are these Canadian kids, the team that's going to take this company to the moon? Well, internally, what we like to say is that I'm the words, JB here is the numbers, and our third co-founder, Kwesi, is the code. That's our way of saying that we have all the pieces that a startup needs to be founded to survive and to thrive. For me personally, I'm an immigrant from the DRC. I've been starting businesses since I was 9 years old, before I knew what entrepreneurship meant. I've built one of the most active student groups and largest at my school's history. I've managed and advised students' governance campaigns, so I'm very intimate and familiar with the student space all over the country. My dad also happens to be a real estate investor, and I've acted as his property manager when I was in high school, so I've seen the other side of this problem.
I like to refer to myself as a world citizen. See, as I mentioned earlier, I'm an international student. I've gone through the process myself, and with a background in economics and having worked with both the federal government and large institutional investors, I've had the opportunity to experience the delivery of projects that will have a long-term impact on others. And with our co-founders, Kwesi, who is the tech guy you need to have in your team, we are all able to come together and bring Elev to the moon.
Now, what we're asking for today is introductions to industry experts, because we believe that we're at the inflection point of growth, and we want the world's brightest minds in hospitality, prop tech, and fintech to be able to mentor us and guide us through our journey. And I want to address the students in the audience today that shared their renting experiences with us. I want you to know that a better renting experience is coming to you soon. Thank you very much.
How do you address conflict? So what happens if somebody asks for a light to get fixed, or something to get fixed that's really critical and it's not happening, and rent is due, and how does that work? Does your platform have any?
Great question. As you can see on this screen, the far right, this is the students going through the lease. So the leases that we have on our platforms are very detailed, and every student goes through it thoroughly to be able to understand what they're responsible for and what their hosts are responsible for. And on top of that, when a host lists their properties, they can add custom house rules that the student needs to agree on when they send an application and before they sign their lease. So all of those responsibilities are predetermined ahead of time that each party agrees to. So it's very easy to determine who's responsible, who's at fault in some cases.
So if I own the property, I have a lease, that's a document, that's probably, you know, a PDF or a Word document. And then when I'm going on Elev, am I then having to do a checkbox there? Are you using some kind of, text recognition software to be able to pull data from a lease document?
Great question. So the hosts actually create their leases on our platform. So we start with a standard lease agreements that's provincial governments in Canada issue, and then we allow the host to tweak it and modify it as they need to, and also add custom clauses. So that's all created from the platform, and the students also review it very thoroughly and very detailed manner.
Is there a specific geography you want to start on first?
Yeah, great question. So we're starting off in our hometown of Edmonton, because that's what we're familiar with, and that's what we've used to pilot our MVP, etc. And that's why this year we want to stay in Edmonton, so that we can validate some of the other things that we have left to do. And as we continue to expand, this is where we feel is really critical to our existence, is we've got to be smart on where we go to next. Now, where we are going to go next are the cities or the towns where the student population ratio to the total population is high. So these are what we call college towns, right? And in Canada, there's a few of them, and those are the 7 that we're gonna go to first. So these are the cities that are big enough, where the market is worth our time, but also the student population is also large enough where our target demographic actually exists.
Sorry, I just want to add on to your question. How do we handle conflict? So on the platform, I don't know if you had the ability to see it on the screen, but the students have the ability to send in a maintenance request. So let's say something breaks. Instead of having the back and forth through email or phone or this thing, the student can send in a maintenance request that comes in as a ticket to the host. And the host is essentially, we have a system in place that allows the host, that allows to track how far the maintenance request has gone and how fast the host has fixed the issue.
Very cool. Valuable data to know.
100%. Yeah, and at the end of the tenancy, all those maintenance requests, the lease, and the communication between the students and the landlord are sort of exported into like a final report. And so if there's ever any conflict, everything is tracked, everything is documented.
So what are the barriers to entry for someone else that's maybe better financed ahead of the game, or some of your competitors changing to address some of the issues that you all have addressed?
Great question. So the first is the intimate knowledge of the student experience. As students ourselves, people who have gone through the pain that we're trying to solve, we know every corner and every turn of this space, right? And some people who are trying to get into this don't often. That's why, you know, places, the big rental marketplaces, they don't have any particular focuses on students, right? And the second thing is their typical business models, which is usually fee for listing, won't go as far in the student marketplace. And that's why our innovation on business model, I believe, is going to take us further than what these companies would otherwise do. So if they were to choose to go into the student marketplace, they would have to flip upside down the way they make money, right? Which is disturbing for bigger companies.
On that point, could you go over the business model again, specifically the sources of revenue?
I'll just take that. So for the business model, where we make money is through the matching feature. So once we match the students and the hosts, we take a percentage of the rent every month. Now, additionally, for the placement services, so because we have partnered with property management companies, what we do is that we offer them the listing service, the placement service, in the sense that whenever they list the property on the platform and we match them with the students, we take a certain percentage of the full total lease, so lease value. So what it looks like is, let's say for example, rent costs $100 a month. We take a few percent off of that. $100 a month, you sign in for 10 months. That's $1,000, and 3% of that is $30. So we take that upfront from the property management companies.
That's right. And the ones that we wanted to expand to next, starting with furniture rentals and tenant insurance, these will be through partnerships for insurance with Lemonade, the insurance as a company business, and for furniture rental with Homeboard, which is an X36 company. And so essentially we'll just be plugging in their services through our platform, right? And it will be a seamless experience where if the students want rental insurance or if the host requires it, it's as easy as just adding it to your cart, almost just like an add-on. Same thing for furniture rental. as you're going through the process and the house is unfurnished, you have the choice of picking like a package, and the companies that we partner with handle everything else. And we will just take a little percentage of that as referral fee.
What percentage of universities have kind of housing available for students? And I would imagine maybe the students you're targeting are those that maybe looking to live off campus. Do you have a sense for kind of the what the mix of housing is in the universities you'd be looking to target?
I love this question. So in Canada and the US it's very different. In Canada, universities typically only have enough housing for first years. And that's typically how it works. And second, third, and fourth, I don't know what the translation to that, sophomore, junior, and senior, they don't live on campus, right? There's not capacity for them. And like I mentioned, most universities have space only for first years, and that's only about 5-10% of their total enrollment count, and everybody else live off campus.
Great. So are you going to be targeting those first year students who are living in dorms as kind of a customer acquisition strategy, and then as they're presumably exiting those dorms, you're helping them find solutions?
That's exactly it. Yeah, the only first years that we would be targeting are international students particularly, but domestic students, we would be targeting those upper year students that are leaving dorms typically or moving out of their parents' house for the first time, 100%.
Two questions for you. One is on financing. So what are your plans to finance the company? And two is, student housing is a problem that's been around for a long while. I actually have a close friend who founded a company called On My Block about 8 years ago. They were backed by Sequoia and some other very big firms. Didn't end up working. There have been a bunch of people who've tried this. When you look at what's come in the past, what are the lessons to be learned there?
Well, for the financing part, so far we've been bootstrapping, both of us, and we've had a few angel investors as well as government grants to keep the company running. In terms of what we're doing different is we want to change the whole experience in the sense that, like Kevin mentioned earlier, we're not just putting the student in the box. We want, like when you go about looking for housing, for example, you don't want to just look for like, let's say for example your budget is $500. The system will essentially won't show you the place that costs you $550, but that is fully furnished, rent included, 2 minutes away from school, and like close to the needs that you care about. So essentially what we're doing is that we're taking every steps of the renting journey, break it down bit by bit, and holistically evaluate it in the sense that when a student is looking for a place to stay, they know that, oh, I don't have to stress about is it gonna be, is security, how secure is the place, how far is it from the place. They just input the system as a reference point, and we just provide them with the property that matches their needs.
You said you're bootstrapped. Presumably that's not the plan going forward?
That's right, yeah, and as I mentioned, we're looking to raise a pre-seed. We've piloted our MVP, we've seen some initial success, and now we're raising some money to be able to grow our team and to be able to make some key changes to our platform and to our marketing and to our partners, right, to be able to reach to more faster. And yeah, that's where we're at.
How much?
For pre-seed, $600,000 Canadian, which is about 480,000 American.
Have you thought about partnering with universities who really want to increase positive student experiences as the number of college students decrease, at least in the United States?
Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday. So we've been partnering with student unions to begin with, students associations, and what we found is that when we partner with a students association, by default, the university starts to use Elev as their, go-to service for student housing. And so, I'll finish now as the sign says. I will stop. Thank you very much.